Hi friends, and welcome back to Lemon Tree Corner. I'm your host Heather, and we do things crafty and sewing and crochet around here. So thanks for joining me this week. We are now in, what is it? The weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Week 7 of Year of Bags. So we are doing another Swoon pattern this week. This is the Nora Doctor Bag. I've really been wanting to do this one for a while because I love the Doctor Bag style. I think we're going to be doing the small handbag or the large handbag. I think I only have enough fabric for the small handbag. Okay, so that's going to be 11 by 8.5 by 5.5. I haven't decided yet if I want to do like vinyl faux leather handles. I do have some brown vinyl that we could use, so that's a possibility. And I love it has this latch thing that goes over with the twist lock, so another twist lock for us this week. This time we're going to be doing a rainbow one, so that'll be fun. And we're going to have rainbow hardware. And the fabric that we're using this week I think is kind of Haunted Mansion fabric. So we've got these two lovelies. This is kind of like pictures on your wall of all your ancestors, and then the interior is going to be this, I don't think you can even see it very well, it's this beautiful navy with a purple stripe going through it. It's very cool. They go very well together, so that'll be fun. And the reason we had to put this bag off a few weeks is because I had to order some boning. So let's take a look at this. I haven't opened it up yet. Okay, so here is our boning. It's basically like hard plastic, but it's encoded in this channel that we can sew on. So it's got like a little bit, I don't know if you can see that on the side here, that we can sew through. So that's what we're going to use. That's what we're going to use for the top of the bag here. It's kind of got a nice stiff top of the bag, which opens like a Doctor Bag. That's why it's called the Doctor Bag. So I'm looking forward to doing that one. Now, unfortunately, we can't really do a long strap here because the sides kind of fold in on themselves. You can see there, the sides fold in. What I could do, since we have hardware here, is I could make a longer strap that attaches to the front and the back hardware there, just to make it more, more universal for somebody that wants more of a shoulder strap, because this is definitely a crook of your arm purse, which I call a Kardashian purse. It's just one of those that you put in the crook of your arm and you carry it around. So it's one of those. And speaking of arms, look at these sleeves. They're so cute. I just had to get this, even though I'm kind of hot right now, but I had to get it. And let's take a look at progress on our shawl. I'm getting pretty close now. We're finally getting into the teal. So we started with this gorgeous purple. Man, this is long. This is why I wasn't supposed to double everything. So it's really long. And then we got in the purple, and then we got into the blues, and now we are getting into the teal. So almost done with this one, and already thinking about the next one that I want to do, which is going to be the flat iron shawl. I'm really having fun with the shawls. I've never really made a wearable other than like a hat. I'm not good at the scarf because when you do the short rows, my ends look really weird. So that's one of my goals, is to do one of her shawl patterns and really get those ends clean. Now this one's very similar to the one I'm already doing, which is an asymmetrical triangle. So I think it'll be quite comfortable. I'm going to rip it. I'm going to rip apart the shawl that I've been making since last year. It's gotten to the point where I don't like what it looks like. I like the linen stitch pattern, but I don't like the way that the third color is incorporating, and I don't like the length that I'm getting out of it. And now that I've made this triangle shawl, I feel like that's a much better shape for the yarn that I was using for the other one. So I'm going to tear that all apart, and we're going to start over again with this pattern. and see if that works better. So besides the Nora bag and working on the shawls, I'm probably also going to start cutting out some pencil pouches. You know, every time I make a bag, I have leftover fabric, and it's not big enough to make another normal sized bag with, but it is big enough to make like little pouches with. So I'm gonna pick out some of the fabrics that we've made for like the drawstring bags, and maybe some of the bags from last year that would be fun for pencil pouches. Yeah, I have a few people, a few YouTubers that are artists that I would love to send a pencil pouch to, so I'll pick out some fabrics for that. And speaking of that, I have two project bags that I want to send to two YouTubers that I watch who crochet. So I'm going to send those out to them. And yeah, I think that's it. It's going to be a packed weekend. Oh, and my sister and I are going to try the yarn store again today. So we'll see if they're open, and I'll take you on a tour around that as well. So I don't know what we're going to focus on. Yeah, what we might focus on this week as far as showing you sewing stuff is probably working with the faux leather would be good. Or I might use denim or canvas for this as well. I don't know yet. And then probably putting in the boning would be the thing that's different about this one. So I hope that sounds fun to you and you come along on the journey with us this week. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button. If you've watched more than one of these videos, I would love for you to become part of the, what are we calling ourselves? The puckers? The lemon tree puckers? I don't know what we're calling ourselves. We'll think of something cute. Put a comment down below if you have a cute like squad name for us. I would love to hear your ideas. So go ahead and grab a water or a beverage. Stay hydrated. And I hope you enjoy this week's vlog. Okay, let's go. Okay, we're getting another late start here, folks. It's 12:15. I decided, since it's a 4-day weekend, I kind of just took it easy on Friday, and me and my sister went to the yarn store and picked out some goodies, so I'm very excited about those projects. And yeah, just kind of giving myself a lot of leeway this year, or this weekend, so that I don't feel as burnt out. And we got a comment from Brenda O'Connell on the last bag that even though that pattern had just measurements and not pattern pieces, she goes ahead and she makes her own pattern pieces for those, and I think that's very smart. I do struggle when it's just measurements because I'm such a visual person. I really want to have the pattern pieces to lay out. It really helps me judge the amount of fabric that I have. So I think that's a great idea to just go ahead and make your own pattern pieces anyway. And then you can label them however you want. I think that's really smart. So I'll probably do that next time I have a pattern that's only giving me measurements and not actual pattern pieces. So we're gonna put these pattern pieces together. Take a look at the fabric. I still have to get out my vinyl and see. I think I have a faux leather in black and brown, and since we have a black background and it's a pretty dark bag, we might just go ahead and see if I've got the black. I did see a bag the other day on Instagram that had corduroy, and I was like, oh, I haven't thought of corduroy. I like working with the denim as kind of a heavier, stronger material, but I hadn't thought about corduroy. So I like that idea. We might have to do that in a bag. I need to go find some corduroy. Oh, and I also have canvas. So I bought a bunch of like Hawaiian-y type tropical fabrics that I was going to use to make some bags with, and I bought some plain colored canvas. So that's another thing if you want to have, you want to have some structure and a little thicker material, you can always use canvas as well. It's a good option. I haven't worked with the waterproof, is it canvas or just waterproof? I think it's called waterproof canvas. I haven't worked with that yet, so I don't know if that's any good, but obviously, like if you're making makeup bags or something like that, I think a waterproof canvas would be a great option for a lining. Okay, so we'll just get cooking on this, and then we'll get to the fabric. I'm not supposed to write down the time it takes me to cut out the patterned pieces, so I'm crossing that off. I did add in the time it took me on the last pattern, and I don't know how long it took me to cut those out, but you know, I really shouldn't have done that. Should have just taken the time from when I started cutting the fabric. And I found my extra X-Acto blades, so cuts like butter now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use the black faux leather since I have this. This is actually a coworker of mine had upholstered something with it, and she asked if I wanted the leftovers, and I'm like, do I? So this is from her, so they're all like little offcut scraps. I was thinking of doing the bottom panel from the fabric, but I think it's just going to be more durable in this, and I'm going to do the handles out of this. And what else do we have? The bottom panel, the handle connectors. Let's see what they did for the connectors. Okay, they did do the connectors in this. The only problem with having this be the part that goes all the way down is that it's hard to sew on top of. I gotta fold it under, and then I gotta cleanly sew it without any puckers. So maybe I am better off using fabric, but I wish I had known about that so that I would have enough fabric. Although, I mean, we could use this for the handles. That might be nice for the handles. Let's put a pin in this. Let's cut out the stuff, the lining pieces, and see if I have enough left over for the handles. Yeah, I forgot that we were gonna have to sew those down. I mean, as just straight up handles, this would work fine, but it's this piece here that's hard to do. I did that on another bag, and it just kind of puckers. So I have mixed emotions about faux leather and real leather. I mean, any sort of faux leather is made out of plastic, so it's like vinyl, it's plastic, and I don't really like using plastic. I like using more natural materials, and so I don't really like doing that. I would rather use a corduroy or a denim or a canvas, but you know, every once in a while you just want that faux leather look. The problem I have with real leather is, you know, just the whole process of real leather. It's not even so much the animal product, because I eat meat, and you know, I'd rather use the whole animal. If we're gonna be eating cows, you know, I'd rather use the whole animal, but it's more of the process, all the chemicals it takes to actually produce the leather and strip the hides and everything is just really awful for the environment as well. So you get to pick between fake leather, which is plastic and doesn't decompose, to real leather, which is bad. I guess if I was going to use leather, it would be better to buy something secondhand that's already had a life, that's already been processed, and I'm repurposing it. But even so, it's not really the material that I like putting in my bags. I definitely gravitate more towards actual fabrics. The cork is an actual natural material. It's a renewable resource that they grow cork. So I feel more comfortable with that. So let's see if we can get the handles out of this. Okay, we're at our first weird part of the pattern. So we've got our two exterior side panels. I did find a video for this, but the video was just this lady fast forward making the pattern, and she didn't follow the pattern, and she didn't show us any of this stuff, so it wasn't very helpful. Okay, so our first thing we have to do is we're going to do this weird thing with our exterior sides here. So before we iron these on, let's see. So we need to cut 2 lengths of boning, 4 inches for the small handbag. Let's do that. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. So here's our boning. It has the sew-in stuff. I don't even know that we need the sew-in stuff. So let's read the whole thing. Pin the boning with cover to the non-fusible side of the side panel stabilizer, about 1 inch down from the topped curve edge and centered between the side edges, based in place. Okay, well, that's why we're doing it before we iron these down. Okay, that was a first for me. Wasn't too bad, actually. I did switch to my zipper foot, but as you can see, if I was to be flat, it would be way up here. So this first line of stitching was my zipper foot. So I basically rested my zipper foot on here. It was kind of high up on this ledge, but then I was able to sew down really close to this. So I don't think you're gonna get a foot that will lay flat and let you do that, but if you just kind of butt it up against there and keep your foot on the tall edge and just keep it steady and go really, really slow, because you do not want to accidentally get over here or else you're going to break your needle. So just go nice and slow on that. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So it just pulls it a little bit. You'll see, I don't know if you can see that. It just makes it a little concave, because that boning is kind of curving, which is going to help when we shut the bag, bring these side panels in. So that's cool. So it doesn't look terrible, but they are kind of chunky compared to the rest of this bag. And if there's too much room, then it might flip and go the other way, which we don't want. So I do have 3/4 of an inch in rainbow. These look really small compared to this. Okay. Let's do that. Oh, that's much better. I mean, they are smaller, but they're gonna work a lot better. Okay, so we're gonna use these 4 instead. One thing I hate is that all of these hardware pieces come in these little individually wrapped plastic, and then they come in another plastic, and it's just a lot of plastic, which is really annoying. But I understand that they want to protect the finishes on these, like they don't want them all clunking around in storage or in the mail. And I get that, but I feel like you could wrap them in tissue paper or something. Like, it doesn't need to be plastic, people. Drives me crazy. Yet another hobby that involves too much plastic. Okay, so I'm just gonna these down, and then we're going to sew these down first to secure them before we sew them down to the bag. So let's get all 4 of them out here, and we want to make sure that this little connector piece on the hardware is underneath the fabric. Okay, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. I'm gonna fold this over. We're gonna mark the center. We're gonna mark where these go, and I mean, you can't use clips or anything to hold these down, so we're just kind of gonna have to mark it out. So I'm gonna mark the center of these, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out 2.5 inches from the center. So. And then we're going to butt this up on either side right next to that. And our bottom edge is going to be flush with the bottom of this. So I'll take you with me when we do these so you can see what I'm talking about. So basically we're going to top stitch these down, and I'm going to make sure my edges are in. I'm going to make sure my edges here are tucked in and they're not visible. Like this one kind of went over a little bit, so I'm just going to tuck that back in. So really, we can't really see what we're doing here. So I'm going to go edge by edge and tuck these under, because we're only sewing one edge at a time. We're going to line it up with the bottom there, and then we're going to line it up with the line that we made with the chalk, and we're just going to do a little top stitch to get that down. I kind of want to cover up the chalk line. And then I'm going to turn and go over the stitching once more, the stitching we already did, just to get that. I'm going to use that space to get over to where we need. Now here you can see that my hardware is making it so that my foot won't sit down all the way. That's okay. We're just going to work around it. And we don't have to worry about these edges because this is going to be sewn in, but you can see what that looks like. Very nice. It blends in very well. And we're just going to do the same with the other four. Now it's hard not to get a pucker here with this foam, so you just want to be careful and go slow and make sure that you're actually getting it all the way down. That looks pretty good. It blends in on camera more than it does in person. You can really see them in person. Ah, sugar. Oh, rookie mistake. I measured them out, but one is shorter than all the others. So you'll see these are two different lengths. Ah, this is the correct length, which means I don't have enough fabric for us to have gotten to the correct length on the other one, which sucks. So yeah, I'm gonna fudge this. I'm gonna go ahead and seam rip this out, and I'm gonna cut this one down to match the other one. If I was smart, the better way to do that would have been to cut the piece in half and half again, and then all four pieces would have been equal, even if they weren't necessarily the width that she's telling us it should be. But that would have been easier than this. So one side of my bag is going to have lower handles than the other. You're really not going to notice it, except for like this you would really notice because they're on the same side and one is shorter than the other. But I think you're not really going to notice it once we sew this one down, or cut this one down. Oh, much better. We'll have to be careful when we're measuring the handles that this one needs to be a little bit longer than the other one because these are a little bit shorter. Okay, Okay, that was an interesting development. I just moved you guys from the sewing machine back over here and corrupted whatever file that was, and I can't even remember what I was sewing. Oh, we did that. Oh, I think we were working on the flap. Okay, so that is gone footage. I can't go back and redo that. So sorry about that. Basically, what did we do? Let's see. It's pretty easy. So we basically sewed right along here with our zipper foot, right along the stabilizer, cut this down, flipped it over, folded in the edges, and then did 1/4 of an inch all the way around as a top stitch. So that's where we're at with that. And I went ahead and continued work on the lining while I quickly transferred all the files over because I was worried that I didn't want to lose all the footage I had already taken. So I quickly transferred all that over. So meanwhile, we've gotten this done. You've seen me put in a zipper before. Put in a zipper. We also have these darts that we've sewn on the side panels. So this is pretty much ready to assemble. Now she wants us to leave the hole in the lining up here on the side, but I have enough trouble with these curved sides in the first place, and the video lady left an opening in the bottom, and I like that a lot better. So we're going to leave the opening in the bottom, and I've just trimmed this down. She had us sew it at 5/8 of an inch for the lining so that the lining's a little tighter and fits snugly in the exterior. So that's where we're at with that. And now we can come back to the tab and our lock. Okay, now on to the second to last step. Well, not really. We still got to sew the whole thing together. Top casing, so we're going to fold these short edges in by 1/2 inch and press, and then we're going to attach the stabilizer. Now this time I'm going to be smart and make sure that this actually matches up before I do that. Like, that's a little short. So I might press this in half first and then attach the stabilizer just to make sure that they line up correctly, because they did not line up correctly last time I tried to do that. Now the other way you can get your marks is if you want to use a pen to get the mark instead of, you know how we've used that heat safe, iron safe ruler. You can also do it this way, and this is what you would do if you were trying to fold vinyl in, is you can make a mark at 1 inch and then fold up to that mark to get your 1/2 inch fold. Okay, so unfortunately the stabilizer kind of makes this bulk out a little bit, so they don't quite line up. And then we're just gonna base this down. I should probably cut the stabilizer out of there. Yeah, so it's probably good to just kind of cut 1/8 of an inch off the stabilizer to begin with. That would be easier to remember than trying to iron it like this. The stabilizer also takes up some width, so it won't go all the way to the fold. So now we're going to turn our exterior right side out. Looking good. Okay, and that's going to naturally curve in here so that when the bag shuts, this piece is going to go in like this. Sounds pretty cool. Okay, so now we have to attach the casings to the top. Birth the bag. Whoop whoop. Stand aside now, birthing the bag. Okay. It's a little easy to, because only the front panels have the foam. And we got to be careful of that flap we have. Okay. So I just want to double check this. We're going to press this so that it's nice and flat. We just want to make sure. We can also use clips to make sure that seam is laying flatter than that. I'm going to press this in. We're going to put this inside for now. Make sure that's all good. And then these are going to stand up more when we top stitch and put our boning in. Okay, so for some reason she's telling us we're only going to top stitch on the sides here. I'm going to go ahead and iron all this down. We're also going to top stitch along these sides because you can see that that just wants to pop out. I'm going to go ahead and sew my lining closed first so that we can top stitch those edges. Yeah, it's interesting that she's not having us top stitch on the very top. I'm not sure why that is. So we have our boning here. We cut it to 9.5, and we don't need to sew it in, so we're going to take these casings off. And we're just going to thread it through here. I already did the first one, not realizing I wasn't recording. So ideally, you would be able to kind of push it back underneath one of those ends that we folded in, but I don't know how you would do that. So we're just going to thread this through. Plenty of space in here for that. And then when you close the bag, these two should go in like this. And then we fold this over, latch it, and these will just naturally fold in. Not so naturally. Now I did my top stitching a little bit shorter on the edges. I did it at like 1/8 of an inch. I can see how 3/8 would have kept this tucked back here more. I could technically go back and redo that, make it a little tighter, although I just feel like it would make this front edge look really, really weird if we did that. Okay, so that's almost done. We're gonna do the straps now, and remember that my handle casing, my handle connectors here are not the same height on both sides. So I can't just cut this in half at this point and have it work for both. And these are really short. So what I could do is cut it in half. I really am not sure how to measure this. I guess we could see how much further down it is on one side. The sewing is at 4 inches, and this side, the stitching is at 4.5. So I assume if I made one side, what would that be? 1 inch longer than the other side would be okay. Okay folks, that's it for this week. So we have our bag. It's very pretty. So this is the Nora Doctor Bag. It turned out a lot smaller than I thought, so I'd probably be better off doing the larger handbag version. And it's got a nice big opening with a zip pocket in the middle, and our closure. I think, I like the idea of the twist locks, but I think in practice the twist locks are harder to do on the fly, and then it's just harder to open up your purse. So maybe a magnetic snap would just be smarter there. I do like it with the fabric straps and flap, even though that's not necessarily, how we would have chosen it. I do think these handles are very, very short. I made a note in the pattern, I can barely get it over my elbow, let alone on my shoulder. So what I might do is see how much fabric I have left. I might take these apart, do new handles that are way longer that would actually fit over your shoulder. And then you wouldn't need the extra strap, which would be kind of clunky to attach. Very nice. I like the way that the sides come in. It's very similar, not design-wise, but size-wise, it's very similar to another Swoon pattern that I'll be using in my product line. Let me grab that and show that to you. Okay, so the other Swoon purse that's very similar is this. It's the Lola bag. I just mean size-wise and I guess style-wise. And this one we did with cork accents. We did a cork bottom with purse feet and this little neat accent here. And then we have these neat connectors here. And then what I did for the handle is I did a two-tone. I did cork on the outside and fabric on the inside, which is really nice. So it's kind of this nice dome-shaped purse that gives it some structure, and then also uses the foam. So very similar in size, just a different design. So I gave this pattern a B. It's very good. I think I would go with a magnetic snap. I mean, the Doctor Bag, the twist lock makes sense. It's just in practice, I don't know how practical it is to get in and out of your purse with the twist lock. So I think it would be better with the snap. And this bag took me about 6.5 hours, which is pretty typical of the things that I'm doing. So that's a good amount of time. I'll think about putting this in the product line. Because these two are such a similar size, I would probably make the Doctor Bag in the larger size, just because I don't have a lot of large purse designs in my product line. So that's very cool. Yeah, I think I'll redo the handles before I put this one in the shop. But overall, a fun and productive week. I didn't even get to cutting out those other bags, so we will save that for the future. But got a lot of crocheting done this week. So thank you for joining me this week. I hope you had fun, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Love you. Bye.